Hey everybody, we're very grateful to be here today. We've got a couple of fantastic guys here from the Virginia area. We've got Coach Jesse Jackson along with his son, who's a 2022 Bryce Jackson. So, Bryce, if you wouldn't mind taking a few minutes, kind of tell the folks out there a little bit about yourself.
I'm Bryce Jackson, class of 22. I play at Patriot High School, and I play for the Virginia Spartans organization 7v7.
Okay, right on. What position you play, Bryce?
Strong safety and running back.
Strong safety and running back. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys, for taking a few minutes with us here today. I forget the exact time frame, but I think we just put you out as far as in front of coaches just about a little over a week ago. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell me a little bit about how the process of recruiting is going for you. I mean, how's the first couple of days? How's everything going right now?
The first couple of days actually was kind of overwhelming in a way because of all the colleges that got back
Oh, really?
that same morning. Yes.
So did it kind of hit you a little bit surprised? I mean, we kind of talked about things a little bit as far as what was going to transpire potentially, but sometimes nobody understands that until they get in the middle of it. So tell me a little bit more about that first day. I mean, first day or two, where it was overwhelming. Was it just tough to stay up in communication with the coaches? Kind of what happened?
Well, we had probably 15 colleges, separate colleges email. And then it was like they were really just telling us information about their schools. And then they sent more recruit emails after that, and it started to pile up as we went on through the day.
Yeah.
And it was questionnaire after questionnaire. And I mean, it was just a really cool experience just to see how it all came so fast.
Yeah, awesome. So, Reggie, from a dad's perspective and coach perspective, and we talked a little bit beforehand, and haven't had a chance to talk until now. What did it look like from your end? What did you witness?
Well, as you know, Scott, recruiting's a tough business, and coaching at a high school as well, and coaching here in the DMV and the 707 side of the Spartans tackle season that we tried to put together this year, and the just the 707 in general. We're always out there working for these kids, trying to keep them in front of coaches. And, as a coach, we have our own Rolodex, of guys that we reach out to. And, and it's as limited as, the company that you keep, I guess. We have guys that we talk to on a day-to-day basis for our guys. And we have guys that, that we talk to all through the year that fit pretty well. We have guys that don't. Our Rolodex isn't as big. So, from my perspective, what I've seen was, once that email went out, the cool part was, you sent the data over to us so we could actually watch it, which was very cool. I think out of the 7,000, 8,000 emails that was sent out in the first week, I think we went over 1,300 or 1,400 coaches opened those emails.
Right.
Within the first hour, he had his first 15 emails from colleges, and then over, I guess, this week, we've been in that email every day, and we still get 3 or 4 emails a day, but I think we're over 100 emails that's going back and forth currently right now with college coaches.
Is that right?
Now that's anywhere from D3 to D1
right.
and everywhere in between. It's a great thing. The process has started. It is a lot to keep up with. And just with everything going on right now with the pandemic and some states not playing, this is the best thing that we could have done for my son. It was able to get him out in front of thousands of coaches, and these are schools and coaches that didn't know he existed. They now know he exists. His film speaks for itself, but to get it in front of those coaches, that's a different animal. Like I said, we have our own Rolodex, and then you took us to a whole nother level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of does. I'm glad to hear everything is going really good. Is there anything you could have done to get this kind of exposure? And I hate to even use the word exposure because really it's not just exposure. It's legitimate, transparent communication, marketing, getting you in front of the right coaches. You were already doing a little bit of recruiting before, and I'm assuming it wasn't like you were trying to be light on it. You were doing everything in your power, right? Touching everybody, and still going to do that because this is just one avenue, right? This is just one thing. It doesn't mean you close off your relationships. It doesn't mean you close off your circle of, your Rolodex so to speak. Could you have imagined trying to get to this amount of coaches any other way?
No, we've been in this recruiting game for a couple of years now, just trying to teach him those steps and trying to teach him what to do properly on Twitter and go through that process. And we've also used a couple other services.
Okay.
I won't say any. They have a big Rolodex as well, but they don't go do it for you.
Okay.
You have to go do it yourself. And the time and effort that it takes to get that done on my behalf and on his behalf, I have two jobs, and it's almost impossible to get that done. Right. I think you were able to do that for us. I'm not going to pretend to know how much time you put in the background, but you're able to get that done for us in a few days, from my perspective. And no, we'd never be able to recreate that.
Okay. So do you feel like, we're just in the front end of this, right? I'm sure you'd agree with me. Recruiting is not a sprint. Sometimes it is because we've got timelines and commitments and things that happen, but it's definitely more of a marathon, right? It's about building that foundation. And Bryce is being a 2022, so we've got a little bit of time here. Do you feel like we went from being, lightly recruited to now we got some nice heavy activity and recruiting truly happening?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, definitely. We've had some big FBS schools reach out, and then we've had NAIAs reach out. Actually, in the first week of joining this program, I picked up my first offer from an NAIA, and that was very surprising.
So that, how fast did that count? That was just in the first couple of days, if I remember.
The first couple of days of my stuff getting out there.
Fantastic. But what haven't I touched on? What would you tell everybody out there about this experience? Here's the thing. How many years have you been coaching, Jesse?
Ooh, about 14 now, I guess.
14, right? And my question is this: recruiting is not new to you, right? Recruiting is part of the game, part of what you've been involved with all your athletes all these years. I'm sure you've seen and heard of and been involved in a lot of different aspects. It's hard to explain to people, a lot of people, because truthfully, sometimes I think people question it because of our costs of doing this is not exorbitant. Honestly, it's no different than going out and buying a, nice pair of shoes, truthfully.
Right.
So what were your expectations stepping into this? Were they high expectations or where were you before we talked?
Well, like I said, we paid for another service. So the expectations were honestly, if I'm just going to shoot you straight, they were low. And that's just me being honest with you, because we've utilized a couple services, and when he was, playing at Bishop O'Connell there in Arlington, they provided another service as well that they'd paid for in that process. And so, it was low, and from what we've gotten to this point, it's well worth it's worth its weight in gold. Okay. Like I said, recruiting is about relationships.
Sure.
And getting out there and getting exposure. And the only way to create relationships is to get your film out there, right, and get it to coaches that that you would never believe could see it or have an opportunity to see it. Right. There's thousands of coaches out there, and we just don't have that. We don't have that data to get out there and get to all of them like that.
Yeah. Did you like the approach that we went into this? And when I say that, I know, other services are out there that they'll charge you $100 or $200 just to analyze and look at film and give you an idea of here's where you should be targeting and focusing your time, because in a lot of the other systems, you only have so much time, right? Even if it was to work, you kind of do need to target. The way we approached this was, hey, allow yourself to be exposed to the entire marketplace, the entire, coaches and all divisions, and let the cream kind of rise to the top over time. Because wherever you're going to be at, if you're that kid, if you got those abilities, just like what you said right now, Bryce, you've already received an NAIA offer. You're already getting interest. I see it. I just looked at your numbers just a minute ago, yesterday and today. You got coaches all over the place from D1 FBS, D1 FCS, all the way down into JUCO and NAIA and D3, right? Did you like the approach that we went through that, to kind of expose Bryce to the entire world?
Well, Scott, like I said, I've been coaching a long time, and set Bryce aside for a second. Every player that I have is not going to play D1. They're not going to play, right, D2. They're going to be all over the spectrum. And some of the guys out there, they want to continue to play and they want to continue, but the education is probably the most important. And finding a good fit is a really high on my list of where kids should go to school. Find a good fit for them, whether it's D1 AA or FBS. It really doesn't matter. The approach that you guys took is going to give every type of athlete options,
right?
And it's going to give them a chance to kind of feel and see where they're at. But it's also going to give them a chance to pick and choose what they want to do. If they're just true want to go play football, they can find that. If they want to find the right school for them, the way you've approached it, we've got every aspect, every level from Columbia to, D3, it doesn't matter, Ivy League down to JUCO. Yep. And we're talking to all of them currently. So the approach itself, I think, is fantastic because, let's be honest, nobody really knows where they're going to be unless they're, an ESPN top 300 guy. And, their story's already written, right? But the other 95th percentile, this approach is wonderful.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear, man. Because sometimes, here's the thing: we put guys out all over this country. You know what I mean? At all different levels, all different academics, the whole works. And that's why I say a lot of these places try to make it seem so complicated. And maybe I'm just a simplistic guy. And the reason why we brought this up was because my story. With my son and other kids that I've coached, the same kind of thing. The truth of the matter is, you've got coaches that are looking to recruit kids. So let me ask this: and I'm saying Bryce or any athlete, right? A lot of the myth that's out there, in my opinion, is if you're good enough, you'll be found. And in my opinion, coaches already have enough coming to them. They don't need to go shake trees. They don't have time to go turn over rocks. You've got to get in front of them. Am I wrong on that?
Well, back when me and you were playing, if you're good enough, they found you. Let's be honest. And they found you in the paper, whether you were all state or whatnot back in the day, or you're blue chip or you're not. With social media these day and age, there's film out there for days, and guys are coming at them every day. Every tweet that you see from a coach saying, "Hey, drop your film," you get 500-600 huddle films, right? Let's be honest. Yeah. There's plenty of film out there for them.
Which brings up a great question. Can you give me your perspective on that, right? In my opinion, we know the majority, not all, right? But a lot of coaches live and die on Twitter, right? A lot of athletes live and die on Twitter. If it was as easy as just going and dropping your film to coaches that do ask, like legitimate coaches, because I can give you horror stories where people have been scammed by guys that have asked for stuff. And I don't understand the scam. I don't know why coaches or people pretend to remake other people's Twitter profiles and look legitimate. But I guess my question is, without even going down that path, do you think that approach is like 100% fail safe and you can go get recruited by just the Twitter hustle side of it?
No, and that's a simple answer. That's tough. With everything that's going on, coaches are looking at more film. And if you fall in that first or second guy that rings that bell when they ask for it, there's a good chance it may get looked at. Right. But the 400 or 500 huddle films, the chances they go through all those, with the schedule that they keep and the grind that they keep it's tough, man. It's slim.
It is slim. It is slim. And believe me, I love the Twitter hustle side of stuff. I love it when kids are doing that. I don't like it when people out there say, "Hey, I've got a D2, I got a D1, I got whatever that's looking for X, Y, and Z," right? That's easy to say. I could say that all day long. I got a coach in the East and the West and North and South, and they're looking for this kid. Yeah, coaches are always looking, man. Of course, they're looking for the guy that's going to fit their spot. They're looking for the guy who's going to keep their job, right? And I love the Twitter hustle side of this stuff, and we help kids go and further this. What we do, as big as it is, we still incorporate additional stuff that Bryce is doing by going out and following the coaches, going out and continuing that relationship, going out and building that, because, like you said, it is a relationship thing, right? It's hard because I think kids, and I say that young adults in these days, they see all the posts, all the offers and all that stuff, right? It happens, it's cool. But what they don't realize is, for everybody, that doesn't happen like that, right? Like your first offer, Bryce, it doesn't happen like that for everybody. And then I got some kids that I don't think they're going to, blow up the world with their academics and their athletics and everything else. And then all of a sudden they shock me and they've got, 3, 4, 5, 6 offers in the first 2, 3, 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, what we try to do, honestly, guys, we try to build in zero fluff at all. Everything we do is for a purpose, and that is, like it or not. I mean, we like each other. We know each other now. You know what I mean? We're friends. We got a friendship now, a relationship. But the truth of the matter is, you hired me to help your son get recruited. So everything we do is about getting Bryce recruited, period. No other fluffs, no 21 point this, that, and the other. So I hope you can appreciate that, but that's kind of the direction that we do go.
Yeah, Scott, I think the whole program is amazing. Also, the one thing I remembered in our initial interview is we're kind of going through it, and you said you're going to send all these emails out, and then one of the little sticking points that's always stuck with me, you said when there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Okay.
And then you sent this report out, right? And we're able to follow, what coaches have opened it, which ones have clicked into his huddle film, if they've opened it again, or if, one coach opened it and then all of a sudden the entire coaching staff opens it.
Right.
It's very interesting to see, and it's very cool because, as that was happening, okay, so we knew that there was smoke on the NAIA school that offered him because they were in that email, they're in his film, they're going through it, then they go to Twitter, they follow him. They're going through that whole process, right? And you can see it. I mean, you can see it coming. It just, the stars were lining up. But you could also see like these other schools, that are clicking into it, 2 or 3 times over the week. And then also now they follow him on Twitter, and then they start to text him,
right.
And then they start to, send the little banners and, they're just creating that relationship. You can see it, and it's pretty cool because, it's just not BS because you can see that they're going into it, and then all of a sudden they're on his Twitter, they're in his email, and then they're going through that process. So again, it's, he's not been offered by all these schools, but there's a relationship started. And, my opinion is once they follow him on Twitter, then that relationship begins because now they're in his profile. He's not chasing them. Now they're in his profile, and, he knows that anything he posts on there, they'll have an opportunity to see it, and they'll go through that. And, they get to shoot, messages during the week and stuff, and, he's getting holiday messages from them. And so, they're building that relationship, which is nice.
Yeah.
So where there's smoke, there's fire, it kind of stuck with me because as we're watching this thing process through, it's kind of interesting to see it.
Yeah. It's a living, breathing animal. You know what I mean? Just like
Right.
before we hopped on this call, I just went back into it, just take a look, and I'm looking at who hit today and who hit yesterday. And, as you can see, obviously we spike big time, like what Bryce said, almost like overwhelming, right? It's a cool
Right.
sensation. It's pretty cool to go from, you know what I mean, not really heavily being recruited all of a sudden, not to pat Bryce too much on the back ego-wise, but it's a pretty cool boost as far as when you start having coaches that have, and show interest in you. And the other part of it is, where these schools are coming from, where the interest lies, like what you said, that gives me a little bit of goosebumps, right? Because the data doesn't lie, you know what I mean? And you almost just like that inside pulse of knowing what's going on. We don't know for sure, right? Like, why did University of Montana open up Bryce 27 times, right? Truth of the matter is, coaches just didn't go in there and let's just open click, right? It's forwarding it on to a recruiting coordinator. It might have been a different position coach who started recruiting you, and then they send it somewhere else. They come back and let's reanalyze again. I think today in this current class, I've had, other coaches tell me on interviews, they truly are, it's a good thing. It's a bad thing because coaches this year are looking at more film than they ever have in all of history, period. On the downside of that means they're also going to analyze the crap out of kids, and you might either stick or you might not, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Your film don't lie ever. All you can do is get in front of them, right?
Yeah, that's all you can do, right? And then you build it from there, right? So now with Bryce, every time now he's able to go out, like where you guys have put together this, elite tackle team since your cancellation happened for your regular high school team. Now every time that happens, now you're able to turn around and make one more contact, one more, hey, here's my plays from this weekend. It just, instead of just sending a message to a coach and saying, hey, how are you doing, coach? Are you interested in me? You know what I mean? It's just marketing is a repetition, right? Staying in front of them for when the time comes, that hopefully you're the guy they remember and think about and making their decisions.
No, 100%, Scott. I agree with that. It's a living, breathing organism, this recruiting process. And, you know, if you're smart about it, you know, you can stay in that conversation for a long time. You know, you take care of your business on Twitter, you take care of your business on Instagram, you don't do nothing silly, and you take care of your business in the weight room and on the field, and, you know, be a good guy, man, and create those relationships, and they'll be okay, all these kids out there. But I highly recommend that, you know, they utilize your service because, like I said, you know, our process was slow. You know, and I'm a coach myself, and the hardest thing to do is to sell your son, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it was best to utilize somebody like you to do that. You know, I try to sell all these other guys all the time. It's easier than selling your son. That's always an issue, right?
Yeah, sure, it is. Yeah, well.
So we appreciate everything.
Yeah, we appreciate it as well. It's nothing but just true satisfaction for us. It's nothing but a pure joy to help kids get out and get the opportunity that truly a lot of kids that come through my door and through what we're doing so far. Truthfully, I don't think a lot of these kids would have ended up being, you know, playing it at the next level if it was otherwise. I just don't.
Right.
So with that being said, I mean, man, thank you, Bryce. I mean, we're just going up from here. You know what I mean? This isn't just the beginning, or this isn't the end. This is the beginning, and there's more work to be done. Just like what Jesse just said, you got to work it. It all comes together, right? You got to do the training, right? You got to do the work in the weight room. You got to do the work in the classroom, but on top of it, you got to do the work in recruiting. It's man, I hate to say for these kids now. I mean, they've got a full-time job, right? In all of it, which is college sports too. You know, once you show up on campus, I mean, there's a reason why kids get scholarships versus kids who, you know, I'm not saying other kids don't for academics, things like that, but I know there's always kids or families or parents, you know, who say, hey, how can, you know, athletes get so much interest? But truth of the matter is, man, you are working a full-time plus job with school and all the work.
Right.
So it's a good thing you start right now while you're young. This is part of the process. Man, thank you so much. You know, we're just rolling up from here. We certainly hope that you end up getting your season. You know what I mean? Hope that everybody that didn't get their fall season still gets their spring, and that's to still be determined. But hopefully that's the case. But always, you know what I mean, reach out to us if you guys have any further questions or, you know, anything we can do as we move forward. Anything you see that we can improve on, we want to hear that feedback as well. But it's great to hear where you're at right now, and always keep us in the loop.
All right, Scott, we appreciate it. And hey, keep in touch.
I will do. Thanks, Jesse. See you, Bryce.
Bye.
Bye.